Welcome to the Sugar Bytes tutorial series. My name's Tom Cosm and this video is on the kit view. If you're not seeing the kit view, you need to click on the kit button down here next to the sequencer button, and this will bring us to that page. This kit view is a classic drum machine layout. We have our unique drum hits here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going across from left to right. They correspond to the numbers here, and they also correspond to the mixing levels here, and the mutes and the pans and all that kind of thing. So we kind of have our own little mixing desk, but instead of EQs and just writing the levels, we can actually control some core parameters of the sounds from here to make them all sit together and to make them all mix really well. The first thing that we have is a drop down menu to choose a new preset. So I can choose a new kick. Let me just solo the kick here. We'll just focus on the kick while I go through one channel here. We can cycle through the different presets here. We can pick our own kick. And of course down the bottom we have our randomization button. So I can click this to get a brand new unique randomized kick. Let's just find a good one. Very good. We have our global pitch. So this will change the pitch of all of the three individual sound generators, the resonator, the wavetable, and the resynth. By moving the pitch, we're going to pitch them all up globally. Let's bring that up. Up really high. And let's bring it down. Yeah, let's keep it nice and low. The decay does the same thing globally, but with the decay of all of those three sound generators. So it moves this knob, and this knob for us. So let's bring the decay right out and make the kick long. We can make it really short. The next one is the modifier. Now I'm going to bring in the snare for this one, just so we can really hear how this works. The modifier is something that you define. So in the modulation matrix over on our snare, you'll see by default the modifier is assigned to the cutoff. So what happens here is if I bring the actual cutoff down on the filter and go back to our kit page and move this up, we can now control the cutoff with this modifier. But we're not just restricted to the cutoff. We can change this destination to anything we like. Let's bring the cutoff back up by default, and let's change this to say the partials in the resonator. And let's go back to the kit page. We'll bring the decay of the snare out quite long. And let's bring the modifier up. So now we're controlling the partials. Very cool. And we can do this with everything. Let me just turn off all the solos here. Let's make everything really short. Let's find a different sound for the synth here. Let's go for, let's see what toner is. Bring the volume up. And that's slightly out of tune, so I'm going to re-pitch that with my ears. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Make it long. Very cool. Now, of course, we can do the random all button with the make kit here. So I'm going to click this and get a whole brand new set of instruments. But you'll notice what has happened is this hat, which was originally a hat, has now snapped to a clap. I need to bring this back to a hat and randomize it to find something else that resembles a hat. And I don't really want to do that. So every time I click make kit, it's going to snap back to the clap. I can turn this off in the options. If I open up my options here and untick the make kit sorts profile box, now when I hit make kit, it's going to keep the profile that I always had, and this is always going to be a hat for us. That's cool. It's quite swampy. I like that. The next thing over on the master effects is the Finalizer. So we have here a Transient Shaper / Compressor / Maximizer all in one. There is just one dial, but there are 5 different modes that we can choose from. And it doesn't sound like much, but it's so dynamic. Depending on what you actually feed into it, it changes quite drastically and accordingly. So the attack and the punchy settings are very the start of the beat focus. So if we put it on attacky and bring this up, you can hear the Transient Shaper and the Compressor and the Maximizer really kick in and emphasize the loud parts, the parts where you're hearing the strike, the parts where the exciter is happening in the sound design. If I bring this down, everything's kind of nicely mixed. So it kind of squishes things. It squishes the start of the beat to the front and pushes the body back down. Let's try the punchy one. So again, this time it seems to have emphasized the hats a bit more. Very cool. And if we choose one of these other ones, you'll hear it will emphasize the body. So now we're kind of really emphasizing, you can kind of hear that, ooh, I don't even know what that is, but it's a cool sound. And we've got 5 of these to choose from. Again, they will all respond differently to whatever you feed into it. The next thing we have is a warmth circuit with 3 types of distortion. We have a sine, a tape, and a tube. So let's bring that up. It's almost kind of like a distortion. It makes sure things doesn't digitally clip. And if we bring all of these up together, we have a massive sound. I'm just going to bring the reverbs down so you can hear it nice and clean. Let's try that punchy one again. Very cool. Now the last thing I want to bring up with you is the choke group. So a choke group will take an input from one channel and it will make sure that the other channel does not get triggered if that other channel is playing. So for example, let's bring the decay out of these hats. So it's very long. We'll make it not too long. So number 4 here. So I'm going to say, right, the kick drum, which is number 1, I want that to choke number 4, and I'm going to turn it on. And you can't hear the hats now when the kick plays. Let's add another choke group. Let's say I want the snare to choke number 4. So now when the kick and the snare play, the hats are not going to be there. Let's bring the decay down a bit. That already sounds really good. Let's just turn them off. And let's add the choke group to, we'll do number 6. So the snare is going to change number 6. Very cool. So that is the kit page in a nutshell. My name's Tom Cosm. Stay tuned for the next video. Have a great day.